The Immaterial Games Podcast with these guys.
I'm gonna just before I say the intro, and this is gonna end up just staying in the warm up. I'm just gonna take a drink from my dumbbell-shaped water bottle.
Is that your workout water?
It is. Given what's happened this week, I've kind of fell off the wagon a little bit for it, but I'm gonna get back up to speed with that.
Reasonable.
So yeah.
Well, you can tell it's fucking motorcycle season.
Oh, because everyone's just
Yeah.
rolling it down past your house, yeah. Yeah. And I've shut my windows, double glazing. It's all good. Just keep away from all the dodgy ass noises of summer.
Yeah.
So it's the best way. Just does mean that it turns the recording room into a sweatbox. But
Yeah.
I was like, ironically, now that summer's kicked in, my tiny ass room is getting frozen over from the air conditioner from the main building, and so my window was open in the hopes of bouncing out and actually making it warmer in here.
yeah.
That's my problem. Like I live in such a tiny room that it's like when it's in winter, my room is boiling. When it's summer, my room is freezing. Because it just cycles so fast, and the air conditioning's trying to affect much larger rooms than mine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's got a whole building to sort out, hasn't it? So, But that's the technology that we would like to talk about. To be honest, if I was any sort of handyman, I'd love to talk air conditioners all day.
Hey, maybe get back to Steph in a couple of years. Maybe he'll be able to tell you something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, once he's completed that course of his and he's getting himself in the good old self-employed route.
Yep.
Be probably the way to go. But speaking of self-employed dreams, this is the Immaterial Gamers Podcast.
It
Hello.
sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, you're out of your cage now, aren't you?
Yeah, the cage, and
Is this
Duncan's
our
back.
first? Is this our first drop back in since the kids all took over? For the
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, it
Boy.
was.
I can't believe there's still a podcast left.
I
Yep.
know. I mean, I had to dust it off, give it a bit of a, there were some scuffs,
I know.
but
There's some right now.
yeah.
In Steve's lungs.
I know. Oh.
Yep,
You would
there we
lock
go.
me in your cage, wouldn't you? That's all the dust that is.
Yeah, it was just the dust of the last, podcast. But
Yeah.
So it's your boy Ryan. He's back,
Yay.
and then 2 weeks in a row, it's Steve.
Yeah. I know, right? Shocking.
Yeah, this is mad.
I managed to sneak out of work early. Don't tell my boss.
Okay, then we won't. I mean, unless they listen to this, which at this point, well, that's unfortunate.
One of them does, but he already knows why I left early, so it's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
It's alright. I have flexi time. I can leave whenever I want. I've got loads of it that I need to use up before the end of September.
Flexi time.
As of today, and because we're going to get some more in July, I will have 36 hours that I'll need to use.
Okay, so yeah.
That's 3 days worth. That's 3.5 days worth. So I need to use it.
Bloody hell.
And that's not even including my annual leave.
Oh, look at you. What do I do with all these holidays? And then, yeah, it's like a game show. And then, Duncan's back as well.
Yeah.
I am. Yay.
Yeah. We were back from our 1 week taking off of doing the games pod. That's its, what should we call it? That's its nickname now. It's still the Immaterial Gamers Podcast, but I've been calling it the Games Pod. But we took a break to do some chat ref.
Yeah, GameSpot and chat ref. That's
Yeah.
It's a
dual wielding now.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't meant to be that case. It just turned out that we had to make a decision, and we just got lucky that we had everyone around and we could just do that. So
Got very lucky.
yeah, I think that just seems to be how we operate these days now, isn't it? Just roll the dice.
A little
Seat of our
bit, yeah.
pants.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a bit of an off week. Personal stuff's gone down. Not something that needs to be fully explained on the podcast, but enough to just say that it has been a busy week for the wrong reasons. But
Indeed.
we move on. We keep stuff going. And anyway, it's a distraction, but we keep it going. We're going to try and get back into our good old positive nature until we absolutely rip the shit out of some news later, because there is stuff to talk about.
Yeah, our happy
Yeah.
positive selves right up until the 2/3 point where we switch into news.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
things go back down again.
Yeah, but don't worry on that as well, because we'll have the games that we've been playing, which should hopefully be some nice positive enjoyment fun. We've got the news, which will drag that down, but I do have another topic for the oddest.
Okay.
Ooh, the oddest.
So yeah, and it'll be related to one of our news stories, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So now it is time for what's been played.
What's being played?
And Duncan, we'll go with you first this week.
Oh boy. Okay. So I guess for mine, I suppose I may as well talk about the one video that I'm still trying to salvage.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I did play a game with my sister sometime about a week ago, roughly.
It was around.
It was
that, yeah.
it was almost the exact middle of the month.
Mhm.
I played this game that my sister showed me on Steam called what was it called? A normal lost phone. That's it.
That sounds normal. You just find a normal lost phone, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So basically the premise of the game is that you are some guy, nameless guy, who has found this unlocked lost phone on the ground somewhere.
Mhm.
And you're, attempting to try and figure out who the owner is, and if possible, try and return it to them. And it's essentially sort of like a visual novel / point-and-click adventure type game.
Yeah.
Where essentially you're digging through mostly text messages and various apps on the phone to try and figure out, more about the owner, what they were doing right up until they lost their phone, and trying to figure out where they might be so that you can find out who the owner is.
Okay.
It's an extremely short game. I think maybe if you have no idea what you're doing, you might spend 2 hours at the game, because there's a lot of there's a lot of extra reading that isn't necessary for completing the game. If you have some vague guide, like I did with my sister, you could easily beat the game in like an hour and a half or
Okay.
less.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a terribly long game, and like I said, it's just all clicking, reading, and occasionally like very minimal puzzles. A lot of them are mostly just like deciphering codes and passwords.
Right. Okay. Which would make sense in terms of the idea of you traipsing through someone's phone and trying to get information.
Yeah. There's a big running theme where a lot of the passwords to various functions of the phone are related to like dates. They're like birthdays and other dates of meaningful importance, which is
Okay.
a sentence that I could have done better, but I gave up on it before I even started. So yeah, it's like you start off, you're just trying to be a good Samaritan and help someone find a phone. You're not gonna try and sell the phone for for what its value is, like a normal person would do. We're assuming the best of
Yeah.
people.
How good?
Either fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not really sure how to phrase it, but along the way, you stumble upon some extremely important and extremely personal information about this person.
Okay.
And I don't know how much of it I want to go into detail as far as like spoiling the ending for the story, but needless to say, you do in fact learn enough about the owner to potentially return it to them. So I can say that much. But yeah, it's not exactly a straightforward path. You stumble into some pretty serious personal drama that they were going through with their friends and family leading up to their disappearance.
Oh, I can.
And
Right. I see where you're coming from on that now.
and that kind of you can guess like something.
I don't want to guess it because I don't want to spoil it, but I can kind of guess something nefarious happened.
I wouldn't say it's nefarious per se. It's just kind of
Something deep.
something a little bit deep.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a interesting experience. It's like it's kind of it's fairly light, not in terms of its tone. It's a fairly dark game as far as like what it's addressing and talking about. But like
Mm.
as far as like from a gameplay standpoint, mental processes, it's fairly light, just sort of disposable kind of game. It's a fun little experience for 2 hours. I don't know what it costs. I don't know what it goes for on Steam because I used my sister's copy, so I
Mm.
can't say like price to gameplay worthiness. But it was all right. Um,
Okay.
but as far as the video itself, I'll go into that a little bit more. Here's
Ooh,
the
yes.
thing: we recorded the video. My sister's been bugging me to record this since the beginning of the month for reasons. Um, and we eventually got around to it, and we did some testing for our audio, and eventually started to do the recording. The recording went for about 2 hours, and it wasn't until the recording was done that we realized that the audio wasn't as balanced as we thought it was, and
No.
sadly the background music drowned out a lot of our banter, and because of the nature of the game, because it is a game which is predicated entirely on you not knowing what is going on or how to complete it, like it's
Mhm.
kind of a once in a lifetime experience, not in like a oh my god it's the greatest thing you've ever seen, but like literally you can only do it once correctly before it's just clicking buttons and typing in numbers.
Yeah,
you
so you
know
sort of lose the spontaneity of it.
Yeah, so it's an unrepeatable recording that we totally botched because we didn't do enough adequate testing. Honestly, we probably should have just trashed the background music or minimized it to the point of being almost inaudible,
Mm.
which I honestly think is something I should just start doing by default from now on. Um,
Maybe that, or sort of maybe seeing what could be done about split audio. But
it's like I don't like
it's one thing or the
totally.
other, really.
It's like I don't like videos that are like totally dead other than commentary because like you really got to do a lot of editing to get around the blank spaces in between words to make something
Yeah.
that's just chatter, adequate as a video experience.
Mm.
But yeah, it's dangerous playing with that background music because it's just a little bit too high, and all of a sudden it just totally throws off the whole balance of the video, and it becomes hard to watch. So I don't really know what we're going to do to fix it. For other reasons that, again, I don't know how much it gives away from the content of the game or the video, but it's like for reasons this video, if anything does come of it, does have to be salvaged by the end of this month specifically. So,
Okay.
That sort of gives you an idea on what the storyline's like there as well, Steve.
Yeah.
Sort of knowing what month it is
All right. Okay.
and sort of connotations that go on there. Again, but
Yeah.
without risk of spoilers.
Okay. I'll wait to hear it.
yeah, but yeah, it's the game itself is all right. I recommend if it's not super expensive. Again, it's like a 2 hour, almost non-interactive game.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of thing, then go for it. If it costs like $20, I would say probably pass. I don't know. What does it cost?
$3 US.
$3 US. Okay, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
For $3, sure.
Yeah.
It costs almost nothing and it takes up almost no time. It's a fairly simple
Win-win then.
experience. Yeah, give it a
Yeah.
try,
Okay.
and we'll see
So-
what I can do about the video.
Cool.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of a little bit of what's the game? Her Story in sort of sense, which is
What's that?
something if you liked a normal Lost Phone, Her Story is a game to try. It is it is a FMV game effectively. It's just video, but the gameplay mechanic of it is that you are searching for a case, a missing person turned murder case, and the game is entirely done through clips of 5 interview sessions from one character's perspective. And the way you do it is you type keywords into this crime database computer, and based on what video clips contained that keyword, you'd slowly piece together what had happened. It's a non-linear narrative. It's what you learn is purely based by what you figured out in each clip, and you make the story. And the game is technically completed in finger quotes once you've found half of the video clips, because you can only find 5 at a time. So you sort of have to be specific in what you're looking for in terms of the clip. So you could say the word shirt, but it'll only find the first 5 clips that have the word shirt in it. So you sort of have to sort of delve a bit deeper. But I like the game, and the guy that's made the game is bringing out another sort of game like that, but you'll follow 4 people's perspectives over 2 years, and it's just like how they're using social media and stuff like that, and it turns out to lead to some sort of dark story that way. But yeah, if you're looking at sort of story-based games like that, it's just a normal Lost Phone reminded me of that, so that's something to sort of consider from there. But yeah, so Steve, what have you played?
There's only been a couple of games that I've actually played this week, if I'm honest, and it's pretty much similar to the last week.
Okay,
so
more Division, more XCOM.
Yeah, pretty much, and a little bit of EU4 as well. Why not? Yeah, I'm enjoying my time with Division. I think I said it last time as well.
Yeah.
And we finally got to level 30. That was my main goal for the week before I joined this podcast, was to get myself to level 30.
Sweet.
And then see what happens. And, well, I'm not impressed. I'm joking, I love it. I like the idea of something else coming in and just basically steamrolling you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you've had this good moment, you've done this, you've done that. It's like, well, no, fuck you, we're going to do this instead.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's
I'm
great.
okay with that.
And you sort of learn with that as well how everything you've done has basically just allowed this next faction to come in. I don't want to sort of spoil it, because you're there, you've still got the world tiers to play, which will tell you more of the story and how the faction comes to light, and then what goes on and how it actually relates to the beginning of the game when you entered DC in the first place. So yeah,
well, I am intrigued to find out more, really. I just need to play it, but yeah, I need to spend the time to play it, but I'm only playing it with one of my friends at the moment, so like, if I was to play it without him, he'd probably just have a go at me. It's one of them. So we're playing it together at the same level, essentially. I'm a bit of a higher gear score than he is, though, so it's kind of funny.
I'm hoping he's not sitting there and expecting you to like not play until he catches up on gear score.
No, it's not that. We got ourselves to level 30 on Friday, so we'll be playing again this Friday coming, so we'll see what happens.
That's a tough thing about playing, multiplayer role-playing games of any kind. It's just like, once like the levels get like too far apart, it's like it kind of gets be a pain in the ass to stick together. Because like if you really feel like you kind of have to play together, so it's like it can be kind of limiting in a way. So.
It can be in a way. The funny thing is, we're at the same level, but one of our other friends had started playing with us. Unfortunately, however, he's not put in the time that we have, so he's still quite low level. So the next time he joins us, we're going to be dragging him up. Basically, he's going to be crying his eyes out because he's only level 14, I think.
Yeah.
So he's basically just going to die his way to the top until he gets to the same level.
Top. That's how you play.
You do it the other way then. You join him.
No, he can join us. He can level up quicker.
I've always
by dying. That's cruel.
That's funny though. It's his fault.
I've always hated going through that. Being that I'm usually the guy who's getting dragged along whenever that happens to me. So I'm just waiting to level up, basically. It's like, oh god, I really kind of wish I would, get around to like playing the game again, rather than just waiting around. Interactive chat room,
No, I get what you're saying. Normally what happens with me when I play Diablo, I've joined Martin and Ryan a few times, or more specifically Martin, where he's dragged me through. I don't mind it too much. It gets me to level up quicker. I had to do it with one of my friends in the last season. He wasn't playing it too much, and I had been able to spend more time on it, so I helped to drag him up, and we managed to get ourselves into the Goblin Treasure Vault, which was
the vault.
Yeah,
what
and
a
also we managed to get ourselves into the rainbows and teddy bears level thing. I can't remember what it's actually called.
Oh, Whimsydale. The
Whimsydale,
horrifying
that's
place.
it. I know, but so much loot though.
Yeah,
it's so
but
good.
unicorns and teddy bears and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in a game of demons, goblins, goatmen, and
Mm.
horrifying stuff, the fact of bears and unicorns being in there
It's
is the
horrifying.
worst.
I know. But of course, I've not played Diablo this week. It's only been Division 2,
Yeah.
XCOM, obviously, for the Let's Play, which is going okay, actually. Unfortunately, the last video didn't go as planned. But,
No.
it's a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1 video. I hope everyone's watched it or planned to watch it. Because I got 2 missions in that video. That's why it's called 2-for-1. Because I got ambushed and then I jumped and then ended up falling into another mission. So the next episode is hopefully going to be attacking the black site. I hope.
You hope.
But it depends on how things work out. My concern now is I've not seen the chosen commander for a little while. So I've got a feeling she's going to attack us during the black site mission. Which is going to be a pain in the ass to fight. And it's already going to be a long mission anyway. So I'm going to tell you now, the next episode is going to be at least an hour. I would
good.
think. So it's going to be a long one.
Good. I mean, just sat there, I've just finished a 40-minute recording of Resonance of Fate, which is actually short in terms of my timescales recently.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
But yeah, that's reminded me I need to do some offline stuff on that this week. I must do it.
How much is left in that game, man? You've been working on that. You've been chipping away at that for a long time.
So that's 36 weeks. I'm in chapter 14 of 16.
See, nearly there.
Get
So
there.
I am so close. I'm just going to try and get some sort of like HP for the characters and leveling up, because the way that the sort of the XP works in that game is that you have a level, and that's based on the level of experience in the 3 weapon types that you have: handguns, miniguns, and not miniguns, machine guns, and grenades. But I've been neglecting grenades because they're shit.
Yeah, they tend to be pretty poor in most games, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but so it's just a thing. But no, it's good to see that the XCOM's still going good. I mean, from what I've been seeing, but the fact that you're still continuing it, it's going good.
Yeah, it's going pretty well.
So,
I just wish that my individual, my private campaign, I just wish that was going better, because I'm losing hand over fist in that one. But my Let's Play is perfect.
you know what it is? It's the pressure of succeeding on the Let's Play that keeps you going.
Yeah, I think so.
It's sort of that thing you don't want it to stop, because that just ends everything. So, but yeah, no, that's cool. So it's that's all good to go. So myself, I've played a new game. It came out.
God.
It came out this week or last week, depending on recording. You know how it goes. But I've been playing the spin-off successor to Yakuza, Judgment.
Yakuza Judgment.
Yeah. So you know me, I love my Yakuza games.
You like your Japanese mobsters.
Yeah, good old Japanese mobsters, or ex-mobsters kicking the shit out of actual mobsters to solve a conspiracy involving said mobsters. Judgment flips the script a little bit though, because you're not playing an ex-mobster who is kicking the shit out of mobsters. Kiryu is, spoilers, dead, in finger quotes. He's living off the grid.
Oh.
Read Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, the game where someone baseball throws a baby. Oh, sorry, American football throws a baby.
Sounds like an adventure.
Yeah, just look for the clips for it. You'll find them. But this is set like 2 years after Yakuza 6, but is a spin-off franchise entirely, where you actually play the character of Takayama Yagami. I think his name is, Yagami, as everyone calls him, who's a former lawyer turned private detective. So you're playing for the technically law this time. And
because crime doesn't pay.
No. But kicking the crap out of people while solving private investigative cases does, to a point. they make it pretty clear in the early chapters that he's broke as fuck. But yeah, no, it's pretty much Yakuza though. It's the same sort of thing. It's still set in Kamurocho. It's still, you go through the world, or the town. You know, there's still all the open world gaming stuff. You can still play in the Club Sega arcades and sit there and not play Judgment if you want, but you can instead play some Virtua Fighter or Puyo Puyo or Fantasy Zone. Because yes,
Puyo Puyo.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it's still got all that stuff. The leveling system's a little bit more refined because of the fact that it's meant to be that you are not the badass legend of Kamurocho. You're not Kiryu. You're a private detective, but you've got a self-taught style of combat that you do use. You've got these, combat style. He learns. He's got a crane fighting style and a tiger fighting style. So it sort of splits it a little bit. It's not as big as Kiryu's one, but.
So when you use crane fighting style, do you actually get a crane and fight people, or?
No, he just does the weird like Daniel-san sort of stuff and.
Daniel-san stuff. That's racist.
Oh really? That's Karate Kid. Daniel-san.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi, he's great. Was great. Rip.
Hey, the man may be dead, but his movie is immortal.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But yeah, so you got so the way it works, you got Crane, which is a fight multiple people style, and then Tiger is when you're fighting one dude style.
Right.
So it sort of splits like that. But yeah, storyline wise, yeah, something happened. You managed to win your first case as a lawyer. You got a person who was supposed to be considered a serial killer off the hook. You trusted him that he didn't kill anyone, and then immediately watches in the news as said guy kills his girlfriend and burns her house down.
Wow.
He's then disgraced, and that's why he's the private detective in there. I've only played a chapter, so I've not got too far into it, but yeah, everything that I love about Yakuza games are in there. There are some stuff that is a little odd. The tailing missions are a little bit slow-paced, but you're a detective. It's what you do. Tail people, stake out, take photos, and get your job done.
Normal stuff.
Yeah. But that all pales in comparison to the fact that it's got drone racing.
Drone racing?
Drone racing. You have a little drone that you're supposed to be able to use to look at the buildings and, look inside and investigate. But you can rig it to do, like, the professional drone racing around Kamurocho. It's just like, Grand Prix style. You just race your drone round the city and beat other people in sanctioned races. Yakuza games have never fully been grounded in reality. Their storylines are ridiculous, yet very serious. And the side stories and everything around is absolutely batshit crazy. It's just as it should be. But yeah, so loving it. Want to play more of it. In fact, we'll probably play more of it later, just to get things going.
Sounds good.
Lovely. Sounds lovely, jubbly.
Yeah. So yeah, we got those games out of the way. So now,
what a nice and fun time we've been having this podcast.
Yeah, shall we drag it down a little? Let's do it. It's news time.
Yay!
News time.
So, we'll start with the nice one first. Actually, Duncan, you love auto chess, don't you?
I did play for a while. Yeah, I've watched a lot of streamers play it. I actually haven't played it recently. I've been wanting to, especially now with all of the, now it's becoming a thing, which we're getting into. But I've been watching a lot of people play it, yes.
See, this is probably where it decides that I'm going to have information overload and I'm going to be a bit confused on which one to actually play now. Because, Eurogamer, just wraps up the fact that everyone's doing it now.
The auto chess wars have begun, as I say.
Yeah, as it says, whose move it is next. Well, the game plays automatically. Duh. Well, once you draft your pieces and stuff like that, but yeah. So what started off as a mod for Dota 2, if I've got that right, yeah?
That's correct.
Which in itself, as they say in the article, Dota 2 was effectively a sequel to what was a mod for, StarCraft, Warcraft.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
whole thing that goes all the way back to like the early 2000s.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, so they've been playing that, and that's fine. And the company that made that, or the group of people, the Chinese team, Grodo Studio, then decided to drop the Dota elements and just bring it out on mobile, and soon to be Epic Games, because
Yeah, they're bringing it out version for the Epic Store now.
yeah, which is just called Auto Chess. But it's gone crazy. Riot have now brought out an Auto Chess mode
Yep,
called Teamfight
after
Tactics.
after years of League of Legends and nothing but League of Legends, they've decided now, coincidentally, just immediately around the same time that everyone else started making their own auto chess games, Riot
Yep.
decided to make a League of Legends Team Fight Tactics, which is basically auto chess with League of Legends characters.
Yeah, which people like it, and if it works, that'd be great. Because there's something that needs to sort of keep the MOBA scene fresh, or at least get people to play the sort of stuff based on those games, even if they're not always playing the MOBAs. That's why, for League at least, Aram was a great thing. I mean, at the time, Dominion was all right, and then they've now done sort of featured matches and stuff like that. But I love that. But that pales in comparison to what Valve have just done. Valve now have what is it called? Dota Underlords.
Dota Underlords, correct. That's the hot new thing for Dota Auto Chess players specifically. I know that one Finnish streamer that I've been watching a lot of, by the name of Savich, has been releasing a number of Underlords videos, and that appears to be the game that he's going to focus on. Conversely, another former auto chess fan by the name of Amaz seems like he's looking a lot more at the League of Legends one, the Teamfight Tactics. I haven't seen any of his videos yet, but I've seen like thumbnails and titles that all seem to refer to TFT. So yeah, everyone's kind of picking their sides. Choose your own adventure. Like, which auto chess game do you want to play?
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you know what? Competition's good. And if they've got their own little sort of quirks on it, then so be it. And then I say, I will be happy to.
Yeah, I think it seems to me like it almost seems like auto chess is becoming like the new battle royale. It's like this thing is like. Sorry,
I was gonna say if there's a couple more auto chess games, then yeah, it probably is. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like it's like something that starts off as like a really popular mod for an already existing game, all of a sudden becomes its own genre of games with a whole new wave of competing
copies.
Also, I was just gonna say, like, also how fitting is it that of all people, who are the two biggest names competing with each other? We've got the Dota people, and we've got the Riot. And we've got Riot with the League of Legends games. It's like, who's copying who this time? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's like just an endless cycle of them like taking turns, taking each other's ideas and expanding on them, or repackaging
just fitting them in. Yeah. So I just love that the Eurogamer articles, well, for starters, called them auto battlers. That's the sort of genre that they've decided to put them as auto battlers.
It's probably a more accurate description than auto chess. Like, you get a certain image in mind when you think of the word chess, and it's not really chess at all.
No, it's like I say, they fight on their own. All you do is draft and place. Yeah.
Yeah, you draft your characters, you place them on a board, and you just go to town. They just play their own thing.
So that's just sort of how it is. But the other thing they mentioned is, so now we've got Valve that has made the game that is based off the mod that is based off the game that was based off the mod.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I can't wait for Blizzard to be all like, hey, look, we've got an auto chess now. It's based on World of Warcraft characters.
And it's like, So,
it's just like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, or the chicken or the egg, or the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Be the chicken.
on the it's just mad. But it's nice. Like we say, it's nice to see that's going, and we may even try them sometime. I think if we could actually get enough of us to do a play session.
Yeah, no, if we can get enough of us together, I mean, even if we could just get into a room together, that would be worth playing. Even if we have to fill it out with some randoms, it'd still be something. It'd be fun.
Yeah. So we'll definitely go for that. Right, things that are not fun are what is also in this, also in another Eurogamer article. Do you know what you don't like in your games, other than microtransactions and
Other than all the other things that we're about to talk about, I don't like advertisements in my video games because I feel like if I paid for a product, then I shouldn't have to be advertised at for more products.
Agreed.
I wonder how this could possibly related to an article that we are about to talk about.
Yeah, I was about to say, then do I have the game that's for you to avoid? It's
do I not have the game for you? Isn't that what?
Yeah, pretty much. So this is the news that Eurogamer stated that players are unhappy that NBA 2K19 contains unskippable adverts in between loading screens.
Yeah, it's not right though.
Sometimes it's just self-explanatory at this point normally, isn't it? It's like, really? It's a full price game.
Yeah.
It's a full $60, £50, whatever the currency conversion is everywhere else in the world.
That's
game. It's already got the VC. It's already got the, as is known now in the world, the bullshit currency. It's already got the premium currency. It's already had the pre-order bonuses. It's already got the 50 million, deluxe editions, and now you're putting unskippable advertising in the thing. I mean, what is?
I mean, I feel like there's a whole secondary industry built around paying money to not see ads, and it's just like they're making their way in somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, we were just fucking talking about this last week, weren't we, in Chatref, about the idea of unskippable advertisements.
Yeah, it's kind of eerie how that was like, oh, here's a random episode of this 9-year-old show, and one of the biggest parts of the whole thing is unskippable advertisements, and it's like, oh, here it is.
Yeah, I can't believe 2K have sat there, probably watched that episode and went, oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Resume viewing.
No, I just want to play the basketball.
And then you just start smashing your TV.
Yeah.
Stab yourself to death on live television.
Resume barking. Resume barking. Resume barking. Resume barking.
Resume barking.
Yeah, but just yeah. So no one would have ever thought that's a good idea. And I'm sorry, again, it's going to go back to the thing of, well, the video games industry is actually quite expensive to make games. Well, you're fucking doing it wrong.
Yeah.
If this is what you have to do to break even or make money on a video game, then you are spending too much on making the video game.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'd call it bullshit anyway. It's the 2K series of games. Their engine hasn't changed in years.
No, it's not like they're having to build new assets that often.
No, it's a roster update and maybe a mode.
Yeah.
That's it.
And don't get me wrong, I'm super excited about the fact that the Toronto Raptors won the NBA World Championships. That's that's pretty cool. Good for them, man.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to have to view this crap.
Watch others.
Yeah, it's just mad. So it's just stupid. It shouldn't be in there in the first place. I mean, people are saying, well, I couldn't just have it so I could just skip ads. It's like, I mean, the ads shouldn't be there. I mean, games have had advertisements in there before. The one that I remember particularly in my head the most is Burnout Paradise, where they had ads for stuff, or people on companies could buy ad space on the billboards in Paradise City in the game. But
that sort of advertisement doesn't bother me.
No,
because it's not invasive.
Yeah, it doesn't impede.
Yeah.
The game. It doesn't impede the progress. They can advertise. I mean, it happened. There was a Barack Obama election campaign in Paradise City. That was just mental to me, but it didn't get in the way of the game. And if my car didn't like it anyway, it would just bust through said billboard.
And to your point on that, where it's like, they specifically say that, because of the fact that you are watching an ad, you are unable to do other things that you would normally be able to do while loading in the game.
Yeah.
So you are, it is impeding. It is directly getting in the way of you playing the game. So it's like, that just doesn't seem right.
No, you're right. It's just bad. But unskippable ads. At least they're not trying to call it something else like EA are. This is the Polygon Report. That our good old UK Parliament had our Games, Media and Sport Committee drag out people from EA and Epic Games to talk about gambling mechanics in video games.
And I would like to point out right at the top of this article, I love that EA has a specific legal and government representative, and that's that person's job.
Yeah,
they have so much trouble with the law that they actually have to have a person whose specialty is talking to people who work for the government.
Yep.
To try and convince them that they're not doing anything illegal.
Yeah, and to try and loophole their way through stuff, which is exactly what they've done here in in the UK committee. EA apparently decided that they don't call loot boxes anymore. They call them, I can't believe this, surprise mechanics.
Surprise! You're broke.
Yeah. You've had the same item 40 times. Surprise!
Yeah, it's got to be one of the most ridiculous ideas for it, in my opinion.
And it's like, I don't know what not that I'm defending EA, but in their defense, to turn a phrase, I don't know what the government expected EA to say when they brought them in, and ask them questions like, do you have any ethical qualms about using loot boxes and making money off of people who are stupid and have too much extra money, or possibly don't and just don't care? The answer, of course, is no. Otherwise, we would have stopped doing it years ago.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the fact that what was her name? Kerry Hopkins, is it? Yeah, Vice President. Yeah, like you said, Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs. It said that she compared them to Kinder Eggs and LOL Surprise dolls and stuff like that, and Hatchimals. And all these blind boxes, and they're like these surprise mechanics. It's the feeling that you get from opening them and doing stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't eat the stuff around a loot box in a video game. At least with a Kinder Egg, I could have a toy and a chocolate.
Exactly, and to be honest, I wouldn't compare them to be the same way.
And if you get a blind box toy, you get your third copy of the same blind box toy. You could sell it or trade it. It doesn't just either exist as a redundant extra piece of crap on your shelf, or disintegrate into currency, a fraction of the currency you paid for it, which is something that happens in a lot of games.
That's it. Yeah, I think the only company that's doing it right at the moment, if you can call it doing it right, them caches that we can get in Division 2. If you get a duplicate, it automatically converts it into experience for your character, which I think is quite cool. Because you earn the credits anyway when you open up your little caches that you get when you level up. You earn apparel credit for it, so you can actually earn that stuff in game. And if you do get a duplicate, it gives you experience in the game, so you can actually benefit from it.
Yeah, who's fucking doing it right? It's fucking Riot. I hate to suck Riot's dick. Because I feel like every time we talk about either a free-to-play model or a loot model of some kind, Riot's always my go-to answer. But it's like, again, it's like boxes that you earn by playing. You can buy the crates if you want. But also, anytime, you or a dude on your team gets an S rank in a game for whatever reason, for the first time in a season or something. I think you can't do it with the same character multiple times, but every time you do that for the first time for a character within a certain period of time, you get a loot box and you get keys just for generally performing well, or fragments of keys which you use to unlock the boxes. And it's like not only are you giving people the ability to access your random loot boxes for free by just playing the game a lot, you're rewarding them for playing it well. You're rewarding them for putting in the time and effort, and they're getting something back for it. Like for like I said, for high performance, they're being rewarded for it. It's like good. It's not something that like you can't buy S ranks. You just get them. You just play and do well and get them.
Well, sounds good then. It seems like Ubisoft has borrowed a page from their book then. Because like I mentioned, when you level up in Division 2, you get fragments. Well, you get like bits towards unlocking the caches, so...
Allow me to play devil's advocate on this though. Ubisoft might have that, but I feel that also sounds eerily similar to Blizzard's way of doing loot boxes, and they got lambasted for it. Which is, you got the loot boxes by playing and by leveling up, but the idea behind it then was the experience you got in order to get the loot box sharply increased the longer you played, and it sort of tried to manipulate you into buying more boxes.
I don't think that's the case in Division 2, not that I've seen anyway, because each level, or your level up, get capped anyway. There's like a set amount you're supposed to get to the next level, as far as I know.
Okay.
I need to look into it a bit more. At least it's not level throttling like Destiny 2 did, which we're all aware of. Destiny 2 did the worst on that because they basically force you to play more in order to get more out of it.
Well, yeah. But,
it's like I don't like Blizzard's system that they're using in Overwatch at all. I think it's great that I get boxes for leveling up, but I also don't like that other than leveling up, there's no other way for me to get access to them. Like, once I hit the level cap, it's just like, pay me money. It's like, I get rewarded for playing the game up to a point, and then once I've put in an X amount of time, X amount of hours, I'm no longer worth anything to them unless I get out my credit card. And I don't like that model. And again, go back to Riot, that's not the case. There's an infinite amount of value you can get out of playing the game as long as you keep coming back to it and keep putting in the time.
Yeah.
So I disapprove of the Blizzard model.
Yeah, and that's the thing that it also comes down to. But certainly, at least what they're doing is they're at least calling their stuff.
Yeah, and I should say I'll backpedal a little bit. I'll say in general I am positive on Overwatch's overall presentation as a game. I do appreciate that while the loot box system sucks and is dumb, I do appreciate the fact that it's not like structured like a Battlefront 2, where it's like you pay full retail price for a skeleton of a game, and then you either put in 1,012 hours to play the rest of it, or you put in, an extra $500 US to play the rest of it. I like that the game is all there, and everything that is functional and tactile about the experience is there from the get-go, and then the rest is just icing. I just wish the icing didn't, have a price tag. I wish I could work for that icing.
Yeah. No.
I want some sweat equity, It's one of my favorite business terms. Sweat equity,
That's the first I've actually heard of sweat equity, but...
Yeah, it's just the idea of, work, getting value out of just sweat, essentially. Just working for your
just
money.
hard work. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Well, I guess that then leads to our really downer topic at that point, talking about sweat equity.
Oh, I've totally made the most inappropriately, unintentionally perfect segue into this, talking about sweat equity.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We love Rooster Teeth.
I am literally sitting in front of what can only be described as a shrine to Rooster Teeth right now on my shelf. I have like $400 worth of Rooster Teeth merchandise just over my shoulder right now. I've got probably at least that many dollars in shirts in my dressers right now. Not wearing one. This is just a plain green shirt, but I was wearing one probably just the other day. So, needless to say,
I'm not aware of.
Needless to say, I'm a total shill fanboy for Rooster Teeth. That being said, I am the one who brought this article to the forefront.
he did. And this one's come from Popcast. It's like the thing that we don't like. Or certainly me as a person with a semblance of self-respect for people in creative industries. Crunch.
Yeah.
In industry crunch should not be a thing, really, in sort of any circumstance. And yeah, I've had problems with it in the games industry. I don't like the fact of my game that I'm enjoying to come out. I'm enjoying playing it, and then finding out that people were working 80-hour weeks sort of makes me feel a little bit iffy that I've then supported said sort of game. And this is what sort of hurts on this, given the fact of being a fan of Rooster Teeth at this point, because it has then come out recently through the method of Glassdoor reviews that Rooster Teeth Animation uses the same tactics.
Yeah, so...
Not really
yeah,
good.
so as you said, it recently came out through a series of coordinated anonymous reviews through a website called Glassdoor, which is a site where employees of a company are encouraged to review a company that they work for or have worked for in the past, give feedback, positive or negative, under the guise...
It's TripAdvisor, but for companies.
Yeah, the whole idea is to be able to give people an impression of what the company is like, and possibly to give feedback to the management on how they think they should improve it. And a series of coordinated reviews published by alleged, I should say, it's not like we can confirm their identities, but alleged former and current Rooster Teeth employees, specifically who work in the animation department of Rooster Teeth, have put out strikingly negative reviews of the work culture at the animation department. They complain frequently about, work weeks stretching into the 80th hour or longer, with no overtime, with little real compensation of any kind for that matter. Being given additional days and hours of work with little to no notice, sometimes only hours ahead of time. They know that they're going to be working, over the work. They'll be asked to work over the weekend or work in the evening or whatever. And Rooster Teeth's, response to complaints about these things is generally to either denying that it is a problem, just kind of shrugging and saying it's a problem, but what can you do? That's just the nature of the industry, or offering sort of hollow forms of assistance in the form of quote unquote. One review I noticed I thought was kind of interesting is that they offered like quote unquote counseling for crunch time, despite the fact that they have no trained counselors or people who have any experience working as therapists in any capacity. But these are the people who are, in charge of, helping them vent their stress and talk about their issues, even though they know that they have no intention of fixing those problems, even if they are brought to light.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned saying there, Steve, about being illegal.
It depends on, in the UK, it's that sort of, you need to be informed 24 hours beforehand, and I believe it's similar in some states as well. It's a work requirement. They're supposed to tell you about overtime at least 24 hours before, as far as I'm aware. They shouldn't tell you in less than that.
To a point. I mean, yeah, we follow in the UK mainly what is called the Working Hours Directive, which means we shouldn't be working over,
60 in a week. 60
hours over a week period or something like that?
No more than 12 in a day and no more than 60 on any given week.
Yeah. The issue that's happened in America is that there's a legal loophole that allows an overtime system to work if the project in question is of a high creative value, i.e. animation and video games. And that's what's being sort of used. But the other thing that sort of Duncan mentioned on that is sort of the idea of the Rooster Teeth, either the non-apology or the shrug of, what can you do? Something different has sort of happened in this, and it's the scapegoating. which in this case, I went to, well, me and Steph went to RTX London November and pretty much got as close to Grey Haddock as you could actually get, securitatively speaking. He's had to step down as head of Rooster Teeth Animation to now perform a creative role.
Right.
That pictures to me like what's happened in management is they've said, yeah, the reason all this crunch has happened is solely his fault, and it can be worked by reducing him off the management structure. I mean, the other people that have been sort of commenting on it, though, have been saying that it's more of an inherent problem with too much growth too quick. I mean, you've got to think it was only 15 years ago now, something like now, 15, 16 years ago, that Rooster Teeth was just 4 dudes recording in effectively a closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of Bernie Burns' spare bedroom. I mean, now they're over 400, pushing towards 5.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the animation department. Oh my god. Like, you want to talk about Rooster Teeth growth as a whole?
Yeah.
Rooster Teeth animation, like, did not exist before, like, season 9 of Red vs. Blue. You know, like, the CGI of season 8 that was there was mostly the work of one dude with a computer and then working, Matillon, obviously.
Yeah.
There was no animation department. And then by season 9, it grew a little bit. Had a couple people working on it because they had fully animated segments of Red vs. Blue.
Yeah, I'd say it took to Ruby, really, didn't it?
Yeah,
for it to actually...
really. Like, even by the time Ruby came out, like 2013, we're talking 6 years ago, barely.
Yeah.
There was probably like a dozen people in total in the whole department. Now that department is probably, I would hazard that there are probably more people working in the animation department in total than any other department, I would expect. They are, they're pushing out Ruby, which has grown tremendously in scale. They're making Camp. They're making Ruby Chibi, which is a smaller but still, work-intensive project.
Genlock.
Genlock, God, how can you not mention Genlock? That's like their new big thing now.
Yeah, and then they've got the sort of production of the Transformers Netflix stuff.
Yeah, they've got the Netflix Transformers thing that they're collaborating with Hasbro on. And still Red vs. Blue is still out there.
Yeah.
It's like they have just around the clock, around the year, around the calendar. That animation department is churning out content. And if these are the conditions that they work with typically, I don't see in their schedule really any time for rest or reprieve, and that's tough.
There doesn't seem to be an off season, does there? It's sort of gone. See, the bit that this sort of gets
it
to me
rolls
is
right from Ruby to Red vs. Blue to Genlock to whatever's in season.
Yeah, I mean that's the bit that sort of gets me. So this is now my sort of analogy to this would be the wrestling business, the professional wrestling business. You take something like WWE now, they have this year of week in, week out wrestling coverage, and it culminates with WrestleMania in April, the biggest sort of live show, the bit where all the storylines would generally end would be in sort of this, like the first weekend of April. The day after, they continue again like nothing's happened. There is no off season, and sort of that's that sort of crunch, and you got writers and stuff in the back. I just don't like the idea of crunch. I don't like the idea of sort of lackadaisically going on with a project with the intent of when deadlines coming close to then tell everyone, right, hurry the fuck up and get it done.
Yeah, it's unhealthy for the individuals who make it. It's unhealthy for the company because it creates a cultural expectation within the company that about what is normal and what is expected of you, and it's unhealthy for the products because when you go for too long, eventually you're going to slip up and quality is going to degrade, and that's what happened to the fellows responsible for Mass Effect Andromeda and whatever. I can't remember their name. I know they were recently in the news for another reason as well.
BioWare.
BioWare, yeah. I know that they were suffering from that big time.
Yeah.
They were,
their whole company fell apart because of crunch.
Yeah, a lot of the companies are struggling, and that's because of the tight deadlines that they're being given to get the projects done. because they'll do their release at E3, and then the executives will be like, "We need you to get it out by this point." But then you've got pushback by the developers saying, "Oh, we're not ready yet because of this, 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 and this. We've got this limitations here, here, and here." And they're like, "No, push it out and then patch it later." And that's unfortunately the culture I can see in the gaming industry at the moment is happening, and it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I think what needs to be done in the industry as a whole is for all the developers to just stand up and say, "You know what, we've had enough." And we're talking like all the coders, the programmers, all that, not the executives, they won't agree with it, but all the coders, programmers, artists, all that, they need to stand up and just have a sit out or a walk out from each of their respective studios and say, "You know what, we've had enough of the crunch." And just fix it.
Yeah, they need a guild or a union of some kind. You know, like how actors have like a guild where, you know, it's like, you know, we demand this minimum standard of treatment, you know, et cetera, just for the right to work or whatever.
Definitely.
I think I think that's really the only healthy way that they're going to be able to get any action done in the short term.
That's it. They're going to need a union, and they're going to need to get some people, some congressmen or senators to lobby for them as well, because it's not going to get through the companies otherwise. They need to get government involved as well.
Yeah.
Because EA's lawyers, Activision's lawyers, and all that, they'll push and say, "Nah, we've allowed, you can do this and this. These are what the rules are." And like you say, they're already jumping through the loopholes of creative content. So they need to do something big, and it's got to be all of them. It can't just be a small group. It can't just be one studio to say, "We've had enough," because they'll just fire the studio. They'll fire the studio and rehire. There's plenty of people that'll go and do it.
Yeah, no, that's the unfortunate truth is that there is an overabundance of available talent for people who are interested in game developing and animation and things like that. Because, I mean, hey, you know, a few years ago that's what everyone decided to go study because that was the way of the future, and they are and we're not wrong. But what future is that going to be? I wonder.
That's it, yeah.
And, you know, I'm genuinely very concerned about... Because things have to be said, you know, the word has to get out, action has to be taken, and it has to be loud because I know Rooster Teeth. And again, love them to death. I know how they're going to handle this. I know that they have a track record of being... of kind of sweeping things under the rug, so to speak. And normally they use that to their advantage in a positive way. I remember on a podcast, I could not possibly tell you the number. It was many years ago. I do recall one time hearing Bernie talk about like how the public responds to like outrage, and how like every time he has observed that every time a company is faced with outrage of some kind, whether it's related to a bad product or a bad game or bad culture or something they've done wrong, the more they address it and the more they feed into it and try, release statements about trying to fix things or trying to deny it happened or try to explain that it's all a misunderstanding, the more they feed into the outrage, the bigger and louder it gets, and it doesn't solve their problem at all, and it tends to extend the life cycle of those problems considerably. Whereas he observed, he used Sony or PlayStation as an example. They had something wrong with their system at some point. I don't know, maybe they got hacked or, because shit's always getting hacked over at Sony. And they had an outrage of some kind, and they just had like a single non-statement about it, and then just shut the fuck up about it and quietly fixed it. And like the life cycle of that, despite being a serious problem, was drastically shortened because they just refused to talk about it and refused to address it until it was fixed.
Yeah.
And I know that based on what he was saying and based on how they've responded to criticism of this caliber in the past, that they have definitely taken a page out of that book where they've made it more of a policy to try and not make a big deal out of controversy and outrage, because they know that if they just stay quiet, people won't, people will calm down eventually and just sort of move on with their life. And normally that's fine. The incidents surrounding a certain individual by the name of Shane Newville. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
If you recall what this was all about.
Mm-hmm.
A former animator of Rooster Teeth. Funny how that works out. Self-purported to be essentially the right-hand man to Monty Ohm during his prime.
Yeah.
Had a bad breakup with Rooster Teeth a number of years ago, following the conclusion of Volume 3 of RWBY, and released like an 80-page document describing his experiences there, and it does not paint Rooster Teeth in a positive light. Now, a lot of people were quick to dismiss it for a variety of good reasons, based on the fact that Shane himself is self-described as not a mentally healthy or stable person. A lot of people suspect that his interpretation of things that were happening may have been skewed negatively due to his own personal bias as well as his own poor mental health. And obviously the testimony of a single individual, no matter how profile they are, is never enough to condemn anyone or any company. So
Indeed.
The fact that Rooster Teeth just totally brushed that under the rug and didn't acknowledge it all definitely saved them from a disaster on that front, because no one really talks about that anymore. It doesn't really get a lot of mainstream attention, despite how critical it was. It was at least as critical as these Glassdoor reviews, if not more so.
Yeah.
And I think that I honestly, truly believe that Rooster Teeth was in the right to do what they did with Shane at that time, because of what a touchy subject that was, and the fact that they could have really put their company at serious risk at a time of serious growth had they chose to give light to that single controversial opinion.
Yeah, because that was like sort of around the full screen acquisition time, wasn't it? Really. If I remember right, sort of.
It may have come up. It was released well after. I think the full screen thing happened around 2011 or 2012, but it could have been related. I'm not entirely sure about that.
But it was sort of important stuff of the fact that they had this, this MCN, which would then then become Automedia and sort of part of big corporate business at that point. And so, like you say, to have this sort of deep sort of personnel problem.
Yeah, a lot of what Shane was talking about in his thing was related more specifically to Rooster Teeth, and how he alleged that Rooster Teeth took measures to Rooster Teeth management, not specifically anyone named, but Rooster Teeth management as a whole. According to him, took actions to attempt to appropriate Monty Ohm's property and try and essentially take RWBY away from him and kind of make it more what they wanted and less what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And according to his allegations, those advances didn't stop after his passing, and in fact they may have even become more aggressive, in the sense that a lot of people who were very close to Monty were either let go or quit of their own accord shortly thereafter, which gave them more freedom to move in and essentially appropriate the RWBY IP and essentially turn it into their own thing. And again, that's all hearsay. That's all his own single one-dimensional interpretation of what happened. It is extremely unlikely that anyone other than people who work at Rooster Teeth will ever know the true story there. I refuse to speculate. I refuse to give an opinion on that. I'm just addressing the fact that it was said, and this is not, and that the troubles and tribulations in the animation department did not start with this Glassdoor review bombing. It did not, this has been, there have been problems going on in that department for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a culture problem sort of there
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
like say
Rooster
prior
Teeth,
to it.
And Rooster Teeth is well aware. It's not like they don't know this is a problem. It's not like they don't know
Oh.
that what they're doing is inappropriate or wrong in some way. The question is, are they going to respond to it and act upon it now that it's become public knowledge? And if they're not, what do we do then? What do we as a public, and what does the animation department do as a department do in response to action or inaction on Rooster Teeth's part?
I suppose there's two actions that can be taken. We wait for the response, obviously, and then if it's not a good or genuine response, then the other actions that can be done is every listener of Rooster Teeth should boycott videos as the first point, and it's either or and both, is to have the animators themselves basically say, we've had enough. It could be that you do both things, that everyone boycotts it, and then have the animators do their thing as well. Because that'll be the biggest impact, I think.
Yeah.
But as to whether the audience will do that is another question, and they need to do it.
No, the trouble is getting the word out, and getting the word out in a reasonable and level-headed and calculated way, because the truth is Rooster Teeth has a pretty strong, faithful, loyal fan base. You know, they have a very high level, a very high degree of, interactivity with their audience, as well as engagement with their audience, to a degree that some significantly larger content creators do not have. Despite having larger numbers, their engagement just isn't to the same level. And on top of that, Rooster Teeth, partially because of their policies of how to handle outrage, and partially just due to their generally well organized company, don't have a lot of scuffs on their report. They have a pretty good public image for the most part. Say what you want about their content. You're allowed to have your own opinion on whether or not you like their stuff. But as far as a company goes, they have a pretty strong public image. And I think the challenge will be to convince people that things are not as well as they think it is, and that action should be taken against them. And I just thought I'd say, while we were recording this podcast, as a matter of fact, you may have heard some clacking. It probably didn't come through on Discord, but it might come up in my actual audio recording. I just recently canceled my Rooster Teeth First membership for the time being.
Which is the other option, is for audience members to vote with their wallets. So the thing with the crowdfunding service now is that you can, if someone is, I don't want to say worth supporting, if you feel that someone
deserves it,
is someone that you want to continue, so deserves the situation, you fund where you can. If situations come up where sort of something has been done sort of wrong and they're not acknowledging it, the only way you can really do that is to, like I say, vote with your wallet.
Yeah,
so
you can do that.
I feel it's a bit of a hollow victory for now, because part of the reason why I even thought of doing that in the first place is because I just recently got a notification telling me that my subscription had been renewed. So, I've essentially paid my dues for the next 6 months. So they wouldn't even see it until whenever.
6 months from now.
But
so 7 months down the line,
it's
really.
still symbolic, solid sign of solidarity. And now the real question for me is, like, in the short term, like, ethically, how do I go forward with my relationship with Rooster Teeth at this point? Like, because I feel like an appropriate first step would be I feel like I'm just going to disregard their animated series for the time being. I think that's just an appropriate action to take. But now I have to wonder, like, how do I respond to the other aspects of the company? Because Rooster Teeth is a big company. They make a lot of shows. We do. There's not a lot of, overlap between the different departments. One department's sins. It's like one department's sins are not the fault of another, but at the same time, revenue is revenue. The whole company profits, regardless of which videos you watch. So it's like, is it okay for me to continue watching Achievement Hunter and Death Battle if I don't watch Ruby and Camp. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have to talk to myself for a while and try and figure that out.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a...
For now, my subscription is cancelled, and I'm starting with that.
Yeah.
It is a little bit of an ethical quandary, isn't it? It's like, can we really still support them knowing what's going on?
It's like I say, it's just as it is. So, well, let's we've had that talk. I mean, I think it might be a case that we might need to just whip ourselves up into a bit of happiness before we end this podcast, because we have been running long. But
Yes, we have.
I want to get us through a quick game of The Oddest before we do.
Okay.
So, here we go.
The Oddest.
Alright, and on a high note.
Yeah. So, based on the EA news discussion, in terms of surprise mechanics.
Surprise, you're broke.
Yeah. What we're gonna try and do is I'm gonna get a list of video game terms that are used in stuff like E3 and sort of the general working of the video game industry now.
Yeah.
And I want you to pull an EA. So how loot boxes have now become surprise mechanics. I want to take other terms and we fuck them up as well, just for our own giggles.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start a timer because we're gonna try and keep this going. But I want to try and think of other terms for quick time events.
Interactive cutscene.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
interactive cutscene, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say high pressure
Or
decision
panic
making.
buttons. Panic buttons.
Panic buttons.
No, wait, hold on. I got better. Okay. Interactive cinematic.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Or panic stations, even.
Yeah. Triple A game.
Plenty of money in that.
You just want to call it that.
Plenty of money.
Yep.
How about just ah?
Yeah.
I was gonna go with Gollywood.
Do I have to make it sound positive? I guess that's part of the deal.
I mean,
right?
you can make it positive, but you can.
EA
just
is trying to
just
make their loot boxes look positive, so I guess the idea is that you're supposed to be repackaging this and making it look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Digiwood, Digital Hollywood.
Digiwood, nice. Recurrent user spending.
Recurrent user spending. So like, are we talking about like
Microtransactions.
Microtransactions. Okay.
Easy money.
Yeah. Interactive. Okay. Microtransactions becomes.
Crowd purchasing.
Yeah, it's like post-release crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Mm.
Easy money, or easy pickings, or
Easy.
you roll shells, or I'm just gonna nickel and dime you all, yeah?
Oh, nickel and dimers. Episodic gaming.
A serialized experience.
Serialized experience. That's
That's a good one, though.
I'm trying to, yeah, I'm working on keeping up these, sort of like industry type terms that sound positive and exciting.
Yeah.
Right.
Multi-part story.
We're gonna say this next bit later,
Serial epic.
Serial epic, yes.
yeah?
How about pay to win?
Ooh. Pay
You're
to
not good
win.
enough to play this game.
Oh,
I'm thinking multi-tier engagement system
Yeah, suppose.
yes.
or
Yeah,
tiered
that would-
engagement just for short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engagement
Cluster.
reward-based system.
Herbs.
Being rewarded for the degree of your engagement. So
Yeah. One more on that. Free to play.
I feel like free to play is like almost already a fairly like positive quote unquote term. Like I feel like
It's already
I
a
feel
good
like
one, really.
I feel like microtransaction mousetrap is kind of like the real term, and free to play is just the the term that they use to make it sound better. But how about microtransaction mousetrap?
Yeah, that works.
To go the opposite direction for once. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, there we go. So, that kind of worked out. And with 5 seconds left.
Hey, man,
We'll
on the,
sort that out.
I was
Yeah.
on the improv team in high school. I can come up with words on the spot.
Yeah. Hey, that was kind of the idea
That was
of
good.
it. And I
Really
feel that's
good.
sort of where the evolution of the Oddest
Yeah.
has sort of gone now. Because you weren't around, Steve, for our what if the Matrix was created by Bethesda discussion.
No, I wasn't around for that one. I've unfortunately been unavailable to join the podcast for quite some time.
No, but we're gonna find out stuff like that. That'd be cool. So we'll it'll be edited. There won't be as much as you won't know this. But is that Steph gone? The producer.
That was our producer has left. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought.
Producer has left the chat.
Yep. So yeah, because he knows what's arriving. It's the wrap up. So yeah, if you have got any other positive terms you want to make for unpositive terms,
I don't have a positive term, but I do have a positive thing for our project, our Immaterial Gamers. I will be trying to do a bit of networking when I go to PDXCon in Berlin in October.
Ooh.
So that's a bit of positivity there for us.
Okay, so yeah, look out for I say look out for Steve. Steve, look out for people.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to try and get us a bit of support there if we can.
Yeah.
If I can manage it.
No worries.
Only going to be at the event for one day. Going to be going for the Saturday, but it should be really good.
Cool.
If only we had business cards.
Well, we can make some.
Have some made up, get our channel URL on there, get our website on there.
We could do.
Get a logo.
See what Vistaprint's charging.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now, if you did like what you heard this week through our Happy Games discussion, our OK News discussion, our very deep, big discussion, and funny improv, then please do like, share, subscribe, comment, share again.
Yeah, and make sure to listen to the whole podcast.
Yeah, listen to it. Try and listen to it in one go if you can as well. That's the other thing. Just have it on in the background. We're friendly enough. And then keep an eye out on all the shows that happen as well. And we'll start from the week of Monday again. From the week starting Monday. Mondays, role-playing Nottingham Games.
Yeah.
Next on the docket, I think after Resonance of Fate will probably end up being Mass Effect to tide over until Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Sounds like
because that's going to be happening.
That'll be an opportunity to get some new people in. Play a brand new game when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and get a capture card so I can get it from my PS4 to my PC as well. We'll do that. Then Tuesdays, podcasts. Every other Wednesday is Shattered Reflections. Thursday is Reserved.
Yep.
Friday is the War Table.
Yes.
Saturday.
Next episode's going to be a long one, guys.
Yeah. Saturday, we got the play session. And Sunday, which we've been playing a bit of tabletop sim, so other games will probably end up being played in there at some point.
Cool.
And then Sundays, Sibling Rivalry, where the Pokemons and the Bingos get played.
Somewhat on a regular schedule again, maybe.
Yay! Until Darius's birthday this weekend.
Oh, boo.
But that'll be there. And then in
happy
between, happy advanced birthday. And then in between that, when we have the time, something immaterially different for any games that just don't fit that category, like Oh Dear, which is a weird ass game. Yeah, let's play Outrun, but there's hundreds of deer in the way, and you can run them over, and you might not. And I know that sort of scared you then, but Anyway, I'd like to thank Duncan and Steve.
It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it was good.
Cool. And until next time, for God's sake, people, don't do industry crunch.
No, not at all.
I mean, that's basically killing people, right?
Yeah.
Killing their hopes and dreams. Killing their spirits. Killing their bodies.
Yep.
Killing the drive, passion, creativity. Don't do it.
No, not at all.
So, yeah. Well, we'll see you then. Bye.
Right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.